We're back out here once again, and today we're talking about how some of the lure information you're getting is causing more harm than good. So what's the right answer? What's the right information? And how do we apply it to our fisheries? Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Got him! Oh, that's a toad. That's a tank. That's huge. That is huge. That is huge. Holy cow, honey, this one's a monster. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and it's no secret that there is so much information about what lures you should be throwing when, why you should throw them, what colors you should use, the retrieves that you should use, and everything that goes along with it, up until the most finite minutia. Everything can be just gleaned. You know, we can pour over that information. But is it really doing us any good? You know, we see somebody on the internet, we see somebody on YouTube, we see somebody on Instagram, or even on TV, right? You watch a video, you see somebody catching piles of fish talking about, well, this new crankbait that I'm using right here under these conditions is just slaying them. You know, you watch them like, I need to do that. I need to have the same thing. You go out and get it. You have something comparable, and you go out to your fishery and you do the exact same thing, and you wind up with little or nothing. What's the deal? What gives? Well, there's an inherent problem that is often overlooked whenever it comes to bass fishing, and that is, bass fishing is a very personal thing. What's bass fishing for me may not be bass fishing for you. We each go out to the water with our own personal agendas, if you will, you know, our own ideas of what we consider failure and success and how to achieve them. So we have to take that into account whenever we're fishing. We also have to take into account that, well, the bass aren't nearly as systematic and robotic as we like to think that they are. And I myself have gotten into that trap before. I'll be out on the water, I'll be going down a riprap bank, and the first thing that pops into my head is a football jig. A huge confidence lure for me. I love using a football jig. And I'll tie one on, and chances are I might be able to catch a few fish. Now, there are some other variables that go along with this. Why did the bass bite this? Why were they attacking this? Was it simply because there was a riprap bank, or were there other factors involved? You know, we often forget to think about what was the water clarity, what was the water temperature, what was the weather like outside, what was the current. And that's something that I've noticed. You know, we often forget about all the little pieces that go together. So when I say something like, I'm having a lot of success on a football jig is catching me a lot of fish, I'm doing great with one, and I talk about it in a video. Now that doesn't mean ignore me. What that means is take that information and apply it to your fishery and your personal style of fishing. Well, what if there's a good, strong current blowing through there? And if there's a good, strong current blowing through there, then that might change the entire complexion of everything, right? It may bring those bass higher up in the water column where they may not be interested so much in a bottom bouncing technique like a football jig or a Texas rig or something like that. They might want something higher up in the water column, you know, like a drop shot or maybe even a crankbait. You have to take those things into consideration. It all boils down to you have to throw what those bass want. But everything we're told is regimented. We're told, throw this in the morning, throw this in the afternoon, throw this in the evening. Throw this color in spring, throw this color in summer, throw this color in fall. You know, those types of things. And I'll be honest, we take those things as sort of a gospel, don't we? A lot of times we do. And a lot of times that's just not the case because every single fishery, every single angler is completely different. So instead of taking them as gospel, as some sort of dogma to be followed, take them only as a guideline. Everything that I'm telling you, take it with a grain of salt. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not trying to give you the best fishing information that I can. That doesn't mean that I'm not trying to relate to you effective tips and tricks that A, are not only going to work well for you, but B, not cost you a lot in the process. But you have to apply it to your fishery, because the lakes that I fish here in South Mississippi, you know, whether it's the big lake, the Hatchet Lake, the Little Lake, or whatever, they may not be like your fisheries. You know, the big lake is not that deep, but something like, say, you know, Bull Shoals or Lake of the Ozarks or something like that, those are completely different types of fishery, and those fish have a different type of personality. When I talk about the 3 zones of fishing, right? Zone 1, out deep. Zone 2, more that shallow, cast and a half off of the bank. And then Zone 3, right up against the bank. They may not translate exactly that way on your fishery. You may not even have a Zone 2. If you're fishing something like a mountain reservoir, it may, you know, bluff walls may be what you have, and you go straight from Zone 3 to Zone 1. There may not even be a Zone 2. So you have to interpret those things in your own way. So instead of taking every bit of advice that you hear as gospel, try to play around with it. Do some things with it. Don't be afraid to experiment. And when you experiment, you're going to find that you have a lot more success than you think you do. Now, case in point, something has happened recently in the past few videos where I've been talking about this guy right here. Topwater walking bait, right? This Yozuri topwater walking bait. And in the videos you've seen, I've been catching fish on this in February, in the middle of the day, and in windy conditions. Now, I have been told that I was blatantly a fraud. I was fishing on a private lake. I was actually catching those fish sometime in the summer, even though I'm wearing a heavy jacket. So I don't know. I'm going to be wearing a heavy jacket in 110-degree heat in South Mississippi in the summer. But whatever. I've been told that I've been giving people bad advice. I've been told that I've been doing everything wrong. And the point is, I found out that those fish right then wanted topwater. So I threw topwater. The entire point is, focus on what those fish want. And that's going to take some interpretation of the environment and the surroundings, some understanding of bass behavior, and some experimentation. Yeah, they're still out here, and they're still active. And it looks like the soft plastic jerkbait is going to be the deal today. Looks like the old soft plastic jerkbait is going to be the deal today. Oh, there we go. He slammed it. That's got to be a little bitty guy as hard as he hit it. Oh, get out of that grass. Whoa, that's another nice one. It's not as big as the last one, but he's still a nice little chunker. But he slammed that fluke. All right, so that's what they want today, and he slammed the heck out of it. There we go, right in the roof of the mouth. There we go. Show the bait, show the fish. All right, nice little, another nice little. Yeah, he's probably about 1.25 pounds, a little bit smaller. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Anglers will get out on the water, and they'll take what they've learned from YouTube or from whatever else, and they'll start casting and casting and casting and not catch anything. So what do? Well, they start emptying out their tackle box in the water in the hopes of trying to find something. But rather than doing that, you need to take a step back and you need to analyze the situation. What is it that my bait is doing? Well, the bass are obviously not interested in that. Or there's not any bass in that area at all. We've talked about that. Number one, look for signs of life in that area. If you're not seeing signs of life, keep on moving. You're not going to catch any fish there. And then the next thing is you need to take into account why those fish are not biting your bait, you know, and more of the same is not going to help. Now, sometimes it may just be as simple as a color change. You know, if you're throwing green pumpkin, right? If you're throwing a green pumpkin fluke or a green pumpkin soft plastic stick bait and you're not getting any bites, well, the bass may not be feeding on craw and bluegill. They may be feeding on shad and minnows or something else. So in that aspect, try changing a color. That may be just what happens. And then whenever you get a bite, play with it a little more. So when you do start getting some bites, take that information and start honing it down, right? Start whittling away all the excess until you have exactly what you need for that job, for that particular point. Because the bass, if you give them a chance, they will let you know exactly what they want. Having someone on YouTube, like me, telling you, throw this right now, then, that should only be a guideline. It can only be a suggestion. I'm telling you what's working for me under these conditions, and it may actually work for you. And confidence is key. There's a lot of guys out there who are going to throw some things, their little secret sauce, their little secret baits at odd times, and they have great success. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to be throwing strange things at strange times, right? You'll be throwing a buzz bait in the middle of the day on some choppy water and getting bites. Or, you know, you'll be throwing some crazy drop shot techniques or Carolina rigs that have no idea or no business working, yet you're getting bites. You know about that. And those become confidence baits. So that it all boils down to gaining confidence. Gaining confidence so that every time you head out to the water, that you head out to your local fishery, or even new fisheries, you'll know how to break that water down, and you'll know how to attack those fish, how to dial things in much more quickly and put yourself on fish. And once you establish those good habits, you'll understand that whenever I tell you, hey, you know, don't worry about fishing a red lipless crankbait in the pre-spawn. Fish them in the post-spawn, because that's when the crawfish are actually going to be red and molting. Stay with a brown and green lipless crank in the pre-spawn. You'll have better success. You know, you'll understand, hey, that's a suggestion. He's saying that based on the environment that he's having right then. And whenever you can do those things, whenever you start putting those things together, then you can add everything up for yourself. Don't listen to me. I'm just some guy on YouTube that's trying to help you catch more fish. Take everything that I say only as a notion, only as a tip, as some advice. But if you have something that's completely different that's working with you, fish what you have confidence in. Fish what gives you confidence, because that, time and time again, is going to be the proven winner. Whenever we're fishing baits that we don't have confidence in, we tend to fish them differently. We fish them too fast, we fish them too slow, we fish them not in the way that's most conducive to getting a bite until we start to get bites. And then once we get bites on those non-confidence baits, they become confidence baits. And that's how it works. And the more confidence baits that we can have in our arsenal, well, the better anglers we can be in any given situation. So there you have it. In the end, bass fishing is a very personal process. What works for one person may not work for somebody else, even on the same body of water. We have to adapt everything that we hear to our own needs and to our own goals. And when we start doing that, we can start building confidence in different techniques and different presentations, which will always lead us to be able to catch more fish at different times on different bodies of water. And when you can do that, that's when you build the most confidence in your fishing ability. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.